Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to episode 31 of my survival Minecraft Let's Play. I am iWhat, and I have been using this creeper farm that we built in the previous episode a lot. And as you can see, it works flawlessly. This is an amazing farm, and I got so much experience from this. And additionally, I also got a lot of gunpowder from this, as you can see. So this works like a charm. However, in the previous episode, we did not get to explaining the redstone of how this thing works to you. So that is something we are going to do in this episode. But I decided to not do that immediately in the beginning of this episode. And also, let's turn this off. Because, especially for like new viewers, I think hitting them with some weird redstone immediately at the start of the episode might not be ideal. Instead, we have an alternative, and that alternative is to kind of try and hide this ugly thing that is, well, the redstone that I am going to explain. However, I am first going to record the explanation for the redstone, because right now everything is nice and visible, and if we decorate this, it is going to be a lot more difficult to actually look at all the different things here and show you what they do. Also, I played around with this in a copy of my world in creative mode, and I found a flaw. In fact, if I come and stand over here, you can maybe hear it. But there is a lot of creepers stuck over here in this place. And there is a fix that partially fixes this. There will always be a couple of them stuck over here, but I can make this a lot better than it is now. Anyway, I have a lot of things I want to do in this episode, so ladies and gentlemen, can we please play the intro? Alright, so what we are going to do is we are going to decorate this ugly monster that we have built in the previous episode. And obviously what we are going to do is we are going to construct a house around it, similar to the houses that we already have over here. And I want to pose a little bit of a challenge to myself, because I wonder if we can make this hole work right here. So you can see we have this hole in the construction over here. And I wonder if we can kind of use this hole as a hole in the house. Can we like make a tunnel through the house and like make it so you can walk through the construction that we have over here? But those are things for later. I think we should start by doing some digging, because over here we are dealing with an incline. Over here we are standing 2 blocks higher than the path is over there. Now, in a lot of cases, I actually think an incline is a good thing, but over here and just simply today, I feel like I want to keep everything flat. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to dig away some of this dirt over here and perhaps a little bit of this hill, because we need space to work with over here. Right, so let's start with that, and once we have prepared the area, I think I'll start building a house over here where I am standing right now. Really? That was 2 episodes in a row now. Oh my goodness. Yeah, so I was trying to mine quartz, and when I was up there, the phantoms spawned and they pushed me off, resulting in death. So yeah, I guess we have to deal with that. Okay, so I got started on constructing something here, and as you can see, I already incorporated this hole over here. And because there is this hole and we want to really add it to our building, I think we have to be a little bit more careful than we usually are about planning things out. And what I have in mind right now is to build a building right here, like we usually do up here, and then have this thing right here be like a sort of connection between that building and a new one on the right here. Besides that, I already kind of designed the like footprint of the house that I want to build here, and I decided to add a little fountain here. I kind of struggled with the fountain design here, but I think this is something that looks okay. And for the rest of the base of this building, I sticked with a very similar style as the other buildings that we already have. So those will be pretty straightforward. I think the main difficult part of this building will obviously be how do we connect the house to this thing, and how do we then connect that to a house on the right here. So let me continue building some stuff here. I think I'm going to build it from the bottom to the top, and we'll see. Because over here, we still have some annoying things that we kind of have to hide on the inside here. I think we can build maybe some slabs over top of this or something to sort of hide it away. And maybe we can do some stuff where we can see the creepers from the inside or something, so we'll see. Let me work some more on this and I'll get you back when I have made some progress. And I have made some progress on this. I have added a very rough second floor, and as I kind of expected, I was struggling the most on this part. I still have to figure out how we connect it to the right side here. Also, we still have to fill in this hole right here, because right now we can't cross and we have to go around. But besides that, I think I have the general structure of the build laid out here. I think on this side, I want to start the roof, and as we always use wool to build our roofs, I think this time I am going to use the wool color that is in my hand, which is lime. So I think I am going to figure that out next. Also, on the inside, on the bottom floor here, I have done a little bit of interior decoration. There is a lot of stuff that still has to be done. But I've added a big, huge fireplace in the middle here, and I really love how this looks. So that's definitely going to stay. And perhaps over here, there are some things that I can change. Over here, we have a great opportunity to sort of modify this thing so we can see the creepers bouncing around in here. But we'll see how we build that. Also, about the creepers bouncing around. Over there, I positioned 2 windows exactly right, so when the creepers come up and they go into the thing, we can see them pass through the window over here. And I actually think that is a very nice detail to add to this build, which kind of hides the creeper farm. So I think I'm going to build the exterior of the house completely here, and then after that I'll get you back, because then we'll have to do some interior decorating on the top floor here. Ladies and gentlemen, I have added in a roof, and I've added in a couple of decorations in the roof that are maybe not that easy to see from the ground here. I've added another floor on top of the one that we already had, and let's actually go on the hill here, because I think the best view is going to be a bit higher up. Yeah, so I added a big tower here as the highest point of the house, because I felt like building a tower, and I feel like it really fits the build here. Right, over here at our famous overhang thing, I feel like we should transition to the next house. So since all of the houses we've done already use a different color of wool for the roof, I feel like we should transition to light blue wool over here. And I've already thought about some things to build over here, but I have decided that for this house over here, I am not going to build that today. That is going to be for a later episode. Right now, the thing that lasts for this house is to add the details, of course, and do the interior, which is going to be a bit challenging, because not all the windows are aligned, and there's in some places not that much space to work with. So that will be a bit challenging to do actually, but I think I can make it work. Ladies and gentlemen, I have added all of the details that I intended to add to this house. And with all of these details added, essentially this house is done. The only thing that remains to be done is adding a path around the house. That is why there is like a moat here. But when that is done, this project is completely finished. Well, I say finished, but over here we have like this weird unfinished wall. That is because over here I feel like we should start the next building. And because it is the next building, it's like a bigger thing, it feels like adding this requires a lot of time. Like basically the same thing as we had over here. So I don't feel like doing that today. That is for a later date. But from this perspective already, you can see a lot of the details that I've added. I have added a whole bunch of flowers. In fact, I think basically every window has gotten a flower on the outside. I have changed the shape of this fountain feature, added some flowers. I have added this like indent thing. I don't think this was here last time I showed you a version of this. So the idea is that from the new building, the wall will extend like over here, and like this will be like an indent between the buildings. And that brings us to like one of the main features of this building that I tried to focus on. That is this overhang right here. And I actually think it turned out great, especially because we were kind of limited in the space we could work with here for depth. Because behind these stairs are, in some places, not everywhere, but in some places, blocks that we can't really change because they are visible from the inside. So that means that we kind of have a limited amount of options for what we can build in these side things over here. So considering that, I actually think I did a great job in making this look somewhat good. And, you know, it's absolutely what I expected it to be. So that's obviously good. Now we have a nice overhang between the buildings so we can pass underneath the farm with the creepers, but we'll get to that in a second. I have added a painting with a bench over here and a door to the new house, but my favorite feature on this side, obviously, is the creepers. So if you look at those two windows over there, you can see the creepers passing behind them. And I love this detail. This is the type of detail my world cannot have enough of. This really brings my world to life. I love this. It is amazing. I just can't think of any good, better words than just it is perfect. This is what we want. And for the remaining part of this side, on the outside, I don't think it is too interesting. It's just a bunch of flowers. And I think on this side it is very similar, just a bunch of flowers. Maybe on the balcony some things have changed. But the main thing I wanted to focus on is the inside, because I have changed a lot of things on the inside. There's like a little armor stand on the entrance here. I've added a bunch of decorative blocks on the sides here with flower pots and whatnot. On top of the fireplace I've added a skull, but I think on the bottom here, the most interesting feature is over here, because once again, we can look into the creeper mechanism and we can see the creepers being processed in their system. Also, I fixed the problem where the creepers were getting stuck in here by changing the ceiling to slabs instead of blocks. And that seemed to fix it, because right now, as you can see, the creepers aren't really getting stuck here. Every now and then one of them will get stuck, but that is because we switch between the tubes and then the water flow stops to the one we switch away from. We have like a little like cove thing between the bookshelves with storage. There's actually a lot of like weird random storage in this house. There's a bed here, which we probably can never sleep in because it's right next to the creepers. There is this like kitchen area on the side here with a cake and a cauldron. And then we go up a floor, and I think it is most convenient if we go into the tower first. So on the top of the tower we have like a little bed with a table and a chair thing. And then we go back again because that was all of the interior of the tower, all of the interior. And then over here, I really tried my best to make everything aligned properly because the height of the windows was sometimes aligned strange. So the layout of this doesn't really make sense, but we'll just go through it one by one. So over here we just added a table. Here we added some random crafting things and an ender chest. And then over here, I think there is a door missing actually. But over here, we've added like a big bedroom with like a nice bed, which also leads up to the balcony. It is raining right now, so let's go back inside. And then this leads to like a hallway thing where you can look out of all the windows. This is just a thing to make it align properly with the windows. And then this can lead into the new building. And then there is also this room with some armor stands. I feel like I should just add some random armor to them, just so they're not all empty. This leads back to where we were. Over here we have like a little thing with a crafting table once again. And then over here we have a second bedroom with some bunk beds and like a desk to do some work or whatever. Random storage, and then over here we have like the attic-ish storage with the cobweb. Actually, I made sure that the lighting level in here is correct, so nothing can spawn in there and ruin our day. With that, I think I have shown you everything there is to show of this building, so let's continue with the video. Now, let's seemingly undo all of the things that I just showed you. Of course, I didn't really undo them. I just recorded this before all of the things I just showed you. And let's explain how this creeper farm works. And to start, I feel like we shouldn't start up here, but we should start underground in the behind the scenes area, which we access through this creeper face right here. And we go over there, and I think the best place to start is the creeper spawning spaces, which we bust in like this. So we have a bunch of platforms like this, and the idea is that the creepers spawn over here. Now there is a bunch of things that we need here. There's carpet on the floor to prevent spiders from spawning. Basically we never have a 2x2, which is just blocks. We always have one of them being a carpet, so spiders cannot spawn. The ceiling is trapdoors to prevent zombies and skeletons from spawning, because creepers are a little bit shorter than zombies and skeletons, so only creepers can spawn here. And then we have a snow golem in the middle, and that snow golem will start to shoot snowballs at the creepers that spawn over here. And that of course will like trigger the creepers to go towards the snow golem. They will try to blow him up. And because we have trapdoors over here, which are like down, the creepers will try to pathfind towards over there, but they will fall down because they think they can walk over these trapdoors, but in reality they will fall down in the water. Now we have 10 of these platforms like this, and just all the creepers come in here and they fall down, and then we process them afterwards. Is there anything else I need to talk about over here? Yes, the lights. So every platform has 4 lights so that we can turn the farm off. Basically, if we turn the lights on, it's light in here and no creepers can spawn. So that's basically what the on-off switch does. Can we show the water thing down below? I think we can. So the creepers come in from the collection pit down there, and they go over here with this fence post trick and soul sand. We can make them move into a bubble column to transport them up. This is actually a more difficult trick than you might think, because obviously to have a bubble column you need to have source blocks, but to move them in using water, you can't really have a source block to move them in, because then the water will flow backwards. So you have to be a bit creative in order to get them to consistently move into a bubble column like this. I think I have explained this earlier in my world when we constructed the skeleton farm. Somewhere in the early episodes, episode 4 or 5, I don't know. Right, now let's go up and let's show you what is the next step in the process. Actually, let's just follow the creepers. Let's go up all the way. I think that's the most easiest thing to do to keep track of what we have already seen and what we should still explain. So the creepers get transported using the bubble column all the way up to the top over here. And then we drop them into this mechanism over here. So let's actually get rid of this glowstone. I think this will be the most clear thing. So they just take the bend over here and they fall down over there. And then over here, I think the easiest thing to do is to get some blocks and to show you when I stand like at the same height as it. Actually, to explain this part, I think it is best to remove this torch so that we unpower this, because that will make it a lot easier to explain what is going on. So, I just explained to you how the creepers came up there and then they dropped down in this spot. Now, this thing functions as a splitter for the creepers to divide them up into the 3 different tubes that we have going on. We do that by using a water stream that alternates between the 3 different tubes, as you can see over here. To do that, we use 3 pistons, of which one of them is always retracted, and that one corresponds to the tube that the water flow is going to right now. To make it so 2 of the pistons are always extended and one of them is always retracted, we use this setup using 3 comparators over here. So we have 3 comparators, of which 2 of them are always powered and 1 is unpowered. So the unpowered one is the direction of the water flow. We also have a repeater there, which is just to extend the signal because this back piston is further back 1 block. This repeater also powers that staircase over there. That is important in a second. The way we achieve this right here, where 2 of these comparators are always on and 1 is always off, is by having them read whether or not these copper lamps are on or off. So over here we have an arrangement of copper lamps which we are cycling in circles, and they are arranged so that 2 of them are always on and then the next one is off, and 2 of them are on and then the next one is off. And by pushing them around in circles and making them next to the comparators over here, we can make it so the comparators are always 2 of them are always on and 1 of them is always off. Pushing these copper lamps in circles is actually quite easy. So what we do is we power that piston and this piston at the same time, and then a little bit later, in fact 3 ticks later, using that repeater down there, we push the other 2 pistons. And you can see this one is powered by the redstone torch, which is powered by this redstone wire, and that eventually comes from this repeater down here. So every time this repeater blinks, we make the copper lamps cycle in a circle. And that is controlled by this clock. So this clock essentially controls how fast we cycle between the 3 different tubes. But there is some nuance here, because we can of course turn this clock off, and we do that by powering this clock thing right here, and then it stops going around. So we stop switching between the 3 different tubes. That is if we select single tube mode in the button down below, or if we turn the farm off, because I don't like a clock running like this and producing lag if we are not using the farm. But we also pull a signal from up there, which I told you was powered by that piston, repeater that I showed you. And what that does is it guarantees that we always go in single tube mode when the middle tube is selected. So when we use single tube mode, we never get the side tubes to be the only tubes that are used. So by using it like this, we can make sure it's always only the middle tube that we use if we use only 1 tube. Are there other things I have to show you up here? Yes, there are. I think the most important thing is up there. Let's go up there. We have a button down below at the creeper farm to toggle between XP mode and making the creepers fall to their death on their own. And the way we switch between them is by having 3 dispensers here, 1 for each tube, that dispense out a bucket of water. When there is water in the tube, it resets their fall damage, and by carefully aligning this at the correct height, we can make it so the creepers take fall damage, so that we can punch them to death. And essentially, toggling between XP mode and death mode is just dispensing this water or not. And we do that by having a observer over here, so every time we press the button, this will get powered. Switching between the water being out or the water being inside of the dispenser. Are there other things we need to talk about over here on the top? I actually don't think so. I actually think we have explained everything that there is to explain up on the top. Now, down below at the bottom, let's drop down. There is some more things over here because I actually disable the pickup thing. So I disable the minecart hoppers here. They are on an activator rail, and if you power that, they will not pick up items. And additionally, I also power the hoppers below them so that they will not produce lag. And there is a bunch of weird timing things I did here. I don't think those are essential, but basically what happens is when you turn the farm off, I have it so there is a timer here. Can we show you how that timer works? Yes, we can actually, by having an item in the dispenser over here. I think. Not really, it didn't work. I don't know why. It should have worked. Let me figure out a way to demonstrate this. I found the problem. So what I had to do was put the items in this hopper over here instead of in the dropper as I thought it was. So what is going on here is when I turn the farm off, I don't want this pickup system to become disabled immediately, because there are still creepers that are being processed in the system, and there will still be gunpowder ending up on this block over here. So maybe I should show you. So this block right here, on top of that is where the creepers will die, and then below that is the hopper minecart. And basically what I want to do is when I turn the farm off, I want to wait a little bit before I switch this off. And the criterion on which I wait is, are there still items coming through here? So are we still picking up gunpowder? And when we are, there are items going through this hopper over here powering the thing. And I basically was explaining too long, so we missed the timer over here. So we'll have to put in some extra items to show you again. But what happens is when there are items being processed, we trigger this thing, which is just a thing to make the pulse longer. And then we trigger this, which just is a long timer. And let's actually show you that long timer in action. So what happens here is we basically have a loop of comparators, and the strength of the power over here gradually decreases until it eventually becomes 0. And then when it becomes 0, we power this torch, and we can take the signal to over here to disable the pickup system. So basically what we do is we wait a little bit, and if there is a certain amount of time that has passed in which we do not pick up new gunpowder, then I think it is fine to disable the thing completely. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, I think I have explained most of the important things in this creeper farm. Yeah, there is some other things, but we've explained things like this already a couple times in this world. So over here, the gunpowder goes into this dropper, which pushes it into a bubble column, which moves the items up into hoppers pointing into the chests. That's not too interesting. We've shown things like that before. There's some other things, for example, over here. So to power the lamps to disable the farm, I had to come up with a clever redstone torch arrangement to get all of the lamps powered. Are there some other things? I don't think so. I think I've shown you basically everything. So with that, the explanation of the creeper farm is done. Dear viewer, sadly this video has to come to an end at some point. And that point has come right now. As you can see, I have filled in the path around the house, and with that, this project and also this video is finished. At the end of every episode, I tell you a fact of the episode or a fact of the video, and that is also going to be the case in this episode. So the fact of episode number 31 is that in Belgium there is a town named Silly. Now, that may sound a bit silly, but in reality it's not, because it is located in a region where people speak French, and in French, silly does not have the meaning it has in English. Anyway, I would like to thank you for watching, especially if you've watched all the way till the end. I hope I can see you in the next episode, and as always, keep wondering.